Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. And today, I want to talk about how to tell the difference between a tax professional and somebody that just does taxes. Okay, let me give you some background here. I actually have a new client who was a home business owner, okay, who had income, and the person that she went to told her to not claim this income. And so now here we are a few years later, and my client is in tax trouble because, hey, the IRS is not dumb. There are reporting requirements and all of that. So I wanted to talk about, and oh, by the way, she can't find the person that did her taxes. Totally ghost. All right. So this is why I really want to talk, especially to my home business owners, about really working with a tax professional. Okay. Because this is really nothing to play with, you guys. I need for y'all to know that. Okay. So number one, easy peasy lemon squeezy, is a P10, a preparer tax ID number. That is a basic thing. And what that P10 does, it identifies that particular preparer with the IRS. So everybody has if you are a paid preparer, if you get paid to prepare your taxes, not like if you work at a volunteer organization, but if you get paid for tax preparation, then you have to have a preparer tax ID number. That is what goes on the tax return. So if you've got somebody that you're paying to do your taxes and they don't have a preparer tax ID number, do not pay them to do your taxes. No, thank you. All right. Number two is really the education level, okay? You've got all sorts of people. You've got certified financial planners, you've got CPAs, you've got enrolled agents, and that credentialing helps, but not all of these people have a tax background, okay, that specialize in taxes. So you have CPAs do taxes, absolutely, but generally in a CPA firm, you've got somebody that does the accounting part and somebody that does taxes. Generally, one person doesn't do both. You can have that. So you really have to ask how versed they are in taxation. And there are different areas in taxation to specialize. I specialize in home business owners. Well, there are farm taxes, estate taxes, you got corporate taxes, there's all kinds of taxation out there. So you really want to make sure that you ask, what kind of taxes people do. Okay. So it's okay to ask that question if they feel like, if they're being insulted because you're asking a question, that's not somebody you want to deal with anyway. It's okay to ask them how long they've been in business. It's okay to ask them what kind of, returns they have prepared in the past. It's okay to ask, how skilled they are in representation and all of that stuff. You ask those questions so that you can feel comfortable with who you're hiring. Okay. And so then, asking, have you prepared such and such type returns before? Like if somebody was a farmer coming to me, I would expect them to ask me if I'd ever prepared a farm return before. And I would have to tell them no, because I don't do farm taxes. Okay. So, you really have to, be willing to ask those questions. Don't just take it for face value, especially when we're talking about going to the tax franchises, right? I was just speaking with someone last night who was saying that, she's working at this tax franchise and she wanted to be there to experience different types of tax returns. You're not going to get that at a tax franchise, because business owners, you should not be going to a tax franchise to get your taxes done. Okay. You just shouldn't. And the reason is that you're really not building a relationship with anyone. If you've got a different name on your tax returns every single year, that is a bad idea, as for my business owners, because there's no relationship, there's no analysis, there's none of that stuff going on with your tax return. If you've got, Larry, Curly, Mo, Sue, and Joe doing your taxes every single year, you need to know who you're dealing with. Okay. Ask what types of records. You should be asking them, what kind of records do you need? A good tax professional is going to tell you the type of documentation that they need to see. They're not just going to take your word for anything. And the reason we don't do that is because we have our own standards to which we are held. Okay. So if I, as a tax professional, don't verify that you actually have 5 kids living with you and there's some sort of documentation for that, then I can actually be fined for that. I'm not trying to lose my money for nobody. So, so your tax professional should be asking for documentation. And you as the customer, if you're offended by providing documentations, I as a tax professional do not want to work with you. And anybody worth their weight in salt will not work with you either, because we've got to have that proof in case we are audited. Okay, that's just the truth. All right. Next thing you want to know is ask them, how do they determine their fees? Okay. When you are talking about paying for tax professionals, okay, this is one of the biggest objections I get when people ask me, what my prices are and all of that stuff. So ask people how they come up with their prices. If a tax professional bases their price on the amount of a refund that you get, you want to run in the opposite direction. You do not want a tax professional that their fees are a percentage of your tax refund, because see, that is a telltale sign that they're doing something funky to beef up your refund so that they get more money. Do not do that. And what happens in those types of cases is they generally wind up filing you a fraudulent Schedule C, which means they create a business for you that you do not own, show it at a loss, and then that increases your refund. Oh, no. Do not do that, okay? But you definitely want to ask, because every tax professional is different. Some people, base the cost of the return based on the complexity of the return. Some people have flat fees. There's no right or wrong answer here with how they come up with their fees, but the definite wrong answer is that it's based on your refund. You want to run in the opposite direction. You want to ask about filing electronically, okay? You want to be able to e-file your return, plain and simple, unless you have to send it paper. Okay. That's just life. If you have back taxes to file, you're going to have to send those paper. Okay. But a current return, oh yeah, you need to e-file that. Signing your return. Okay. Now, if your tax person is not willing to sign your return, that is one of the hugest, biggest red flags, like ever. Huge red flag. And the reason is because there is no accountability. Okay. So if they're not willing to put their P10 on your tax return and sign your tax return as a paid preparer, there is no accountability for them. You do not want to do that. Okay. You want to take your paperwork, say thank you very much, and just leave. Just move in the opposite direction, because that's not what you want. Now, if you have a tax preparer, wait, y'all, let me laugh. Hold on. If you have a tax professional who calls himself a professional and they are using TurboTax to file your taxes, please, oh, please know that they are not a tax professional, okay? A tax professional has professional tax software. With TurboTax, when they file your taxes with TurboTax, it will say at the bottom, self-prepared. So again, there is no accountability for that tax professional for whatever you are on the hook for everything, okay? So if they're not using professional tax software, if they're going to get some TurboTax from Walmart and all that stuff, you got somebody that just do taxes, okay? Now, if you ask them, how do I contact you when tax season is over, and they don't have an answer, boo, you just got somebody that does taxes. Now, don't get me wrong, tax professionals, we have reduced hours in the off season. So like May through, December, definitely have reduced hours, but you should be able to get in touch with your tax professional year round. Ask them what happens if you get a letter from the mail, a letter in the mail from the IRS. What happens if you get audited? Where are they going to be in that, in that whole scene? And if they tell you, oh, you won't get audited, because they don't determine whether or not you get audited. The IRS determines whether or not you get audited. And the question, if they can't answer where they are in that picture or how to contact them, do not do business, okay? The IRS is going through a lot to really try to regulate tax preparation as a profession to weed out this kind of mess, okay? And let's see what else I got. I think that's it. That's a lot of them, right? Oh, getting a copy of your return. This is a big one. You are entitled to a copy of your return. You have no idea how many people I talk to that ask them, I need to see your last year's return. Well, I didn't get a copy of my return. No, absolutely not. You are entitled to a copy of your return, and you need to see the whole thing, okay? You need to understand that when you sign your tax return, you sign under penalty of perjury that everything in that return is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, okay? If you don't know what's in there, how are you going to sign that? And if you don't have a copy, how can you review that? That is absolute foolishness, okay? Like, these are all things that, you need to understand. If something doesn't feel right, 9 times out of 10, it's not right, okay? Please stop going. I told y'all, don't be going to Ray Ray's Chop Shop. Don't be going to the grocery store. Don't be going to the freaking car dealership, because everybody's doing taxes right now. But if they have nothing to do with you after that return is filed, listen, you're setting yourself up for failure. Especially if all they're doing is punching numbers in, that is not a professional. It's just not. Number crunching, it just putting some stuff in. A tax professional knows when something is not right. Somebody that just does taxes just puts numbers in and boom, there you go. Okay? And like, I had that, let me tell you, yesterday I was a train wreck because there was a form that I knew was not calculating right. And I'm sitting here like, I did the math by hand. This is what this number should be. So I'm on the phone with the software company saying, hey, what is going on? Because this is not right. And we stayed on the phone until we figured it out. And so that's what it is, right? So listen, so you really got to make sure, especially for my business owners, and the reason I keep driving this home is that, really, if it's what I tell y'all, if it's just you and your W-2, you really don't need someone to prepare your taxes. If you put the numbers in correctly, if you ain't trying to play with numbers and all of that stuff, TurboTax will do just fine, okay? But if you are a business owner and if you don't know the rules, you better hire a professional to do your taxes, okay? And learn what it is that you need to do. Because see, you have to provide the documentation, okay? So that responsibility falls on you as the business owner. We prepare the return based on the documentation you provide. So if you don't provide the documentation, I ain't putting it in your tax return. Plain and simple. So if you lose out on money, it's because you don't have the documentation. This is why I beat the documentation horse to death, okay? That is the most important thing, because see, you can fix a tax mistake, okay? You really can. It's a pain in the butt, but you can fix a tax mistake. What you can't go back and do, and it's very difficult to do, is go back and find receipts and create logs and all of that mess, okay? You can't go birth a receipt. All right, so you got to definitely have those things. So that's why the documentation is super duper important. But you guys, you definitely need to really look at who you're dealing with, especially now with this tax reform going on. You're going to find out if you're dealing with just some run-of-the-mill Joe, or if you're really dealing with somebody that knows what's going on with tax reform and how it's going to affect you. Okay, seriously. All right. So, I hope this really helps you out. Please share this out, y'all, especially for my business owners. I really need for you all to get this. I just do. Because I got too many home business owners that's coming to me in tax trouble and don't have the money to pay the taxes or the documentation to dispute the taxes. Okay, seriously. And so that is a very bad place to be in, plain and simple. All right. So listen, I got a boogie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Home Biz Tax Talk. Again, we air Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish, and you can come here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. All right. Have a great day. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.